Hello, everybody. It is another episode of the Scarves and Spikes player ratings, and it is not a good day to be an Atlanta United fan right now. Unfortunately,
I feel like this is Groundhog Day.
It really is. It's bad. We're 24 hours almost removed from probably the most storybook script ever written in MLS. Josef Martinez left Atlanta United 5 months ago, and he couldn't score, and then he comes back to play against Atlanta for the first time ever. And not only does he score a brace, he scores the first time he touches the ball. And Atlanta lose 2-1.
I'm not lighting the candle. No. No. Screw that candle. No way.
Nope. I think you need to burn the candles, actually.
That's what you're supposed to do with candles.
Incinerate the candle.
No, but you need to just leave it. It needs to become a fire hazard. Light it up, let it go, and burn it until it is history. Because I want this entire match to be history. I don't want to think about it.
Upload it to the Patreon, too.
No, and you know those Florida, that other Florida podcast I was on, man, I woke up this morning and I had 135 alerts on my Twitter. I stayed off Twitter most last night. I was at a party, and I got back and I'm like, what did I do? Did I type something stupid on the internet and I'm about to get canceled? What did I do? And it was just them harassing me. So I'm okay.
Fair play to them, though.
There's still 2 more chances for Atlanta to go redeem themselves this year. So whatever.
Leagues Cup, baby.
Yeah, but hey, Atlanta was involved in every MLS goal that Josef Martinez scored. So there is that.
True.
Whether you look, you always got to look at the glass half full, right?
Exactly.
So we have a handful of players to talk about, and we'll just dive right into it, I guess, right? We have nothing else to cover, I guess, before this. We just got to pull the Band-Aid off. So, yep, just rip it off. All right, the first one, the bald man himself, Andrew Gutman.
By the way, I still have not found my dry erase markers, so I will speak out my ratings while Tyler and Tommy write
My
theirs.
wife bought me a pack of 3. I got different colors now. I picked red for today because I'm angry.
We'll start a GoFundMe for you.
All right.
Yes. All right, I've written mine in my mental whiteboard, so
Cool.
Go ahead and show it.
Here we go. Oh, look at that. Double 7.
Okay.
You gave it 70?
No, there's a decimal in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not a 7.
I was kind of between two minds here. I was going to say 6.5 or 7 because I think, he gets bumped up because of the goal scored in stoppage time, of course. But then, Tyler, we were kind of talking about it before the show. It does get burned on the right side pretty badly on that one Miami chance. So I think it gets stocked a little bit for that. But I think you can really see the hunger in his eyes and the desire in his eyes, probably more than most LA United players out there on the pitch. And, we kind of talked about on the spaces yesterday or on Saturday night after the match, where's the urgency, in the 5th minute or the 15th minute or 25th minute or whatever. I feel like Gutman kind of showed that he has some crafty moves in the box to create some chances. Again, obviously, didn't matter because LA United just weren't able to do anything with them until stoppage time, of course. But again, he does make that defensive mistake. But again, he scores the goal. And other than that, outside of that, a fairly solid performance for Andrew.
Yeah.
Could have had 2.
Yeah, easily could have had 2. That's the thing. I don't really have a lot to add. I think that was kind of my mindset as well. You go into this match and you look at everything that Andrew Gutman did, and Gutman has been pretty solid defensively the whole season. He's had some mistakes, and I think if you were to ask him that, he would tell you as well. And those things needed to be shored up, but that can happen. It's not like there's some kind of deficiency there that's just like this is going to be impossible to recover from. There's some one-on-one things that he just needs to work on. Fine, he got cooked on this goal, or what led to this goal, and you go back and you watch the film, you figure out what you did wrong, and you fix it. It's not a big deal. But that happened first. Then he goes, and I mean, he looked goal dangerous all game. Actually, his interchange with Thiago Almada was really, really good yesterday. That was actually the most active the two of them looked when they were kind of playing with each other on that left side. So you go forward, you go into stoppage time. They go down a man, so you've got that going for you. And then he goes and gets a goal, and he never gives up. And that's where I got to give him a couple of extra points, because the dude, since he got here and started playing at the beginning of last season for Atlanta, he's been one of the hardest workers on the field. Is he the most technical player? Absolutely not. But he's constantly trying to get better, and he's constantly fighting. And I would love to see more of that from this entire team, because he just has that mental aspect of like, F it, like, be a goldfish. I'm not giving up. I'm going in. We're going to get a goal back, whatever the circumstances. And maybe a couple of extra points for putting a dent in the signboard with his head. That was pretty crazy.
Maybe he's that leader that Atlanta United have been looking for. So yeah, we'll see how that develops as he proceeds in his career here.
He's got to get, everybody has to give the effort that he does on a consistent basis. And it has fallen flat basically since the second half of the Chicago match, right? Like, since then, it's just been disappointment. And they've got to do something. And coming home this week, if you don't see a spark at home and you don't see a better performance, then we're going to be talking about a much bigger problem than I think that we have. Losing on the road on MLS, it's expected and a lot. Like, it's just rare. But like some of the other games that we had on the road, we looked convincing. Like, we looked like we should have got, the 3 points, and a lot of times we came up with 1. This one, I don't think they deserved any points.
Yeah. And I think that's why I was so frustrated last night. And Sydney, I know you heard me when I first got on the Spaces. I was just upset at this match, because Atlanta didn't deserve to even pull a point out of this match. They just played flat. And the biggest concern is the worrying trend, I think, that they've had over, like you said, Tommy, the past few matches. And that the mental change, that's got to happen. It's got to come from somewhere, because you can't keep playing the way you're playing right now and expect to do anything this season. You got off to a hot start. And to Andrew Gutman's credit, he did say last night in the post-match press conference, like, we just got to get back to the basics. And sometimes that's what you have to do. Like, when you're going through the yips or whatever it is, you just have to go back and play your game. And maybe that's just what they need to do. And getting home this coming week, hopefully that'll be what resets them.
Exactly.
So, with that, FOTMob gave Andrew Gutman a 7.7.
Okay.
So, they were generous, I think.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Moving on from Gutman, we move forward to Derrick Etienne Jr. See Sydney
writing it down,
writing
it
on the screen, be on the camera.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So Tyler says 6. Tommy, you have 9. Is that
No.
by chance?
Well, spoiler, yes, it is. But I was trying to think of like something smart to say here, and I was like, I wish one day he has like a top-notch performance, and you could call him Enti 9, because I give him a 9, but I can't. I got to give him a 6.
Wow,
got it.
I like that. It was a roundabout way to get there, but I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's like something clever. I need something clever. Like, this whole match is depressing.
With our individual ratings.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6.5.
Okay.
Again, I was kind of torn. I was gonna say 6.5 or 7, but yeah, low scores go first. So, Tyler or Tommy, what are you guys kind of thinking?
I'll go first. So here's my thing about Etienne. I had mentioned it on the show last week, and I think Etienne is just missing one little thing, and I don't know what that is. And I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if it's settling in. I mean, he, kind of got thrown maybe for a little bit of a loop in the beginning of the season when he was kind of expected to be the starter, and then Caleb Wiley just I don't know, balls out.
And he had a knock, so
He did, yeah, absolutely. Coming from last year, so there was a lot of factors playing in, and I think out of all the what we would have considered the starting 11 back before the season began, he's been the one that's kind of been back and forth in terms of being in the lineup, being out of the lineup, and everything else. So I think it's coming for him. I think it's going to click. But putting him on the right-hand side, I think, was a great move because you want to keep Wiley on the field. You want to keep Gutman on the field. Etienne can play on the right-hand side, and I actually think last night was probably one of his better games. I think he was a little more involved. I think the chemistry still needs to develop there for sure. I don't think it was as clean as you would want, but also, like, you know, everybody harps on Luiz Araujo. That's what kind of like the running joke the past month and a half has been Araujo. But Etienne went on and I mean, again, didn't create much, but you didn't lose anything, I don't think. So I think some of the interchange between him and Brooks Lennon was pretty good. It wasn't perfect. Like I said, there's like some fine tuning there. But in times where you don't have your prime starting 11, I don't think it's a bad thing to continue putting Etienne on the right-hand side. I think that'll build. I think it'll grow. And I think you'll actually end up having something that may work out a little bit better with him over on the right-hand side. But you also have to think, too, Caleb Wiley's going to be going to the World Cup here in 2-3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So you're going to need him on the left. Like that's where he's going to be, at least for the foreseeable future. But I don't think putting him on the right was a bad idea. I actually think it was a good idea. I hate that it didn't work out a little bit more in Atlanta's favor. But you think about the amount of crosses that got put in last night, and it was significantly more than I think most of your games. You just didn't have a big target besides Machop Chol in the box, but you didn't have a true goal scorer in the box. And I think had Giacomakis been playing last night, we would probably be having a different conversation right now.
Jeez, he's getting in the right areas, right? Like he has opportunities to score, and the one shot that he had, like, it was just a bad shot. Like he was in a great position, should have scored a goal early on. It was like in the 23rd minute, I think. Like he had the opportunity, and just nothing happened. It's frustrating for him because he was so good in Columbus. It was going to be a big signing for us, and it just hasn't worked out. Now we've got some time, but like you said, Tyler, the consistency of him playing is going to be here in a couple of weeks. They have no choice but to play him. So hopefully it figures it out. But I don't think it's an Etienne problem. I don't think it's an Andrew Gutman problem or whoever else we're talking about here. I think it's a bigger problem than just individual players that they've got to get figured out.
Yeah, I felt that he could have offered a lot more than he offered, and that's not being harsh on him. But you know, he did get in some advanced spaces. He did create some opportunities, but excuse me. Ultimately, they're few and far between. And ultimately, of course, Atlanta United scores but one goal, and again, that's the stoppage time goal. Again, have the knock coming into the season that kind of forced Wiley into action, and to Wiley's credit, and Tyler, you kind of touched on it, he's answered the bell. But at the same time, Tommy, you're right. The return on investment that Atlanta United have expected from him hasn't shown up yet. And I'd like to think that's just because he's still trying to find his way, find the chemistry with his teammates. Granted, we're over a third of the way of the season end. That being said, he hasn't started a ton, essentially, with Atlanta United as of yet. I'd like to think that as he continues to get further into the season, and as we're talking about Wiley going away to Argentina for the World Cup, as he continues to get on the field and get more playing time, you'd like to think that he eventually will come. I don't want to say come good, because that's kind of sounding like he's been terrible. He hasn't, but eventually he will become the player that Atlanta United expected that they would get when they signed him as a free agent coming out of Columbus. So interested to see what he does with Atlanta United coming back home for the next few matches, and then again moving forward with Wiley in the World Cup.
And that's what's frustrating, right? Like when you sign like somebody like from another league, like they're coming to the United States, they're getting settled. that's always what you hear, right? That's the narrative when you have someone coming into this league that's taking a while for them to get up and going. He's been in this league for a while, and it hasn't worked out so far. So I guess that was frustrating because I thought that a guy coming in knows MLS, who's going to be an immediate impact once he got healthy. And I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks where he said he was still getting up to full game strength, and like that first whole month of March. But now we're going into May, and it's not there. So I think that's probably the most frustrating thing, because we said more LMS players, and now we're looking dumb saying that.
I think he's going to be one guy too that you get one in an Atlanta United kit, and I think it's gonna click for him. We'll see. You can only hope, because this is one of those signings where it's low risk and potentially high reward, and it's still early, right? Like the possibility is still there. This is not a time to write off Derrick Etienne. He's not doing bad. I think he just needs some confidence. It may not be confidence. Maybe it's not the best word, but he'll get there. I think I have faith he'll get there. Interestingly, FOTMob gave him a 6.7, which is the best that he's received on FOTMob, except for so the best he's received on FOTMob since he was with Columbus last year, where he scored a goal against Orlando in October, except for the Red Bulls match where Atlanta won 1-0, and the Portland Timbers match where everybody got like 10s because it was 5-1 at the end of the match. So he got a 7 and a 7.2 on those games, but so kind of in line with maybe, it was not a perfect showing, not a great showing, but I think this was his best showing so far. But I still think there's more there to offer.
I'm excited to see what they gave the next one.
Yeah.
This is kind of a lightning rod.
Yeah, this is gonna be the punching bag for a lot of people, I think. So
it's not Araujo. It's not Araujo.
Not Araujo.
We hear punching bag. Everyone's gonna think it's Araujo. It's not. We promise.
It is Machop Chol.
Chol.
Oh man.
I already have mine written down mentally.
In your head?
In my head.
I
feel like we'll be on the same lines with this one too.
Yeah, I'm basing it off of the other scores I've given so far.
Okay.
So we'll see. Let's see where we're all at. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right.
Okay. Ooh, Tommy with the 4.
Tommy
I got a 5.5.
It's not average. Well, here, I'll go.
6.
You said, no, like this is below. This is 5 is average, right? That's what it is. It was a below average performance. And again, I keep going back to it. It's not all his fault. The penalty was there. I know there was some question marks about whether it was a penalty or it was not. It was a bad situation that he put himself in. He made some runs that just didn't make sense. And if 5's average, I don't see any good in him. And like in that performance specifically. Now, when he's played on the wing, I've given him some very nice marks, but guys, we have a striker problem, and it's you tell me to give Barry, like most things, it's going to be a below average thing, and it's not all their fault, but they're not getting the opportunities, and I don't know. We're back to 2022. We're back to 2021. We're back to 2020 after Josef got hurt. Nobody's getting good numbers besides Giakoumakis at that position at all. I mean, am I wrong? Like,
No.
Go through all the strikers and like it. Do you like?
I saw
5's
Vasquez.
average, right? Well, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't even here at that point. Like after he was already gone at that point, and it's any guy that you have has been below average, and I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like multiple conversations, really, because absolutely, like, this team has had a striker problem since Josef Martinez tore his ACL in 2020. There hasn't been a fix since then at all, not even kind of. Giakoumakis is the fix, but it's one guy. So, we're not rating Miguel Berry in this episode, but there's a reason Miguel Berry didn't start, and I think it's because he's lost that spot. Machop Chol at least gives you something different up top, and maybe that's where my extra little bit comes from. at least Machop Chol's visible and he's doing stuff. It may not be the stuff that he needs to do. You're going to look for him in the box on crosses, right? Like he's because he's the tallest guy out there. And you hate that he missed the one really good opportunity that he had last night. You go to the penalty that he gave away, and absolutely needs to get, like these matter, but he needs to get docked points. Like these points actually, this is like whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. But if we're judging it, like you get a ding for that, right? And I think what's so frustrating about that whole penalty situation was, yes, it was a penalty, but 30 minutes prior to that, you had a guy who got trucked way harder than Chop ran in. I can't remember who it was that drew the penalty, but ran into him way harder than that. And there was no foul call, there was no whistle blown, there was nothing, and that was at the top of the box. And so I think what irritates me again with that is just the consistency. But he still gave it up, right? Like that's a penalty almost every day of the week. I think it's just you have something in the same game to compare it to where it wasn't called. That's my only issue with it. But yeah, I mean, it was reckless. It set up the storyline for Josef to come on and do what he did, and it sucks, but it is what it is. But at least I think you're still getting more out of him than you are out of Miguel Berry, which admittedly, unfortunately, isn't much right now.
No, I agree. I do feel like the 4 is a little bit harsh, but I can see where you can see where you're going, Tommy. I can't see where you're going. Yeah, if 5 is average, then maybe 4 is below average. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was below average performance. I mean, he should have scored, 100% should have scored. And as far as the penalty, he put himself in the bad position, and it should have never happened in the first place. So yeah, maybe 6 might be flooding him a little bit. So maybe 5.5 or 5 could be a little more in line with what he provided. But at the same time, again, he should have scored. And if he does, I mean, we're having a totally different conversation. Outside of that, not really any arguments with what you guys said. But from a striker position at large, from that larger discussion, yeah, it's been something that we've been talking about for years with this team, and still doesn't look like it's any closer to being solved. I said it tongue-in-cheek a few weeks ago. I mean, they'd be better off probably just recalling Jackson Conway from his loan Phoenix and seeing what happens. Or, you wish that Lopez was healthy, so you see if he is finally the answer at striker outside of Giakoumakis or Martinez, whoever. But
what year is it?
I know, exactly.
This is a wild time. But I agree. Like, I think that's really the guy that they're waiting on. But I don't know how long he's going to be out. That's what sucks. But you're not losing anything by putting him on the pitch at this point. He needs to play anyway, right? Because of how much you're paying him. So if Eric Lopez does come good as the backup striker 3 years later, then whatever. I'm here for it.
He probably has the most speed out of all 3 of them.
But yeah, definitely.
No doubt.
And he was looking good for the 2s in the short time that he has played. So, well, at least there's some confidence there, right? He's getting on the ball, which is like half the battle. So, Fatma giving Machop Chol the grand total of a 5.5. They're right in line with me, actually. That was cool. I didn't see that.
Show off.
Higher than 4, you're saying?
Higher than 4. Less than 6.
I want everybody to think about tonight, if you can rank any striker since Josef Martinez that should be ranked above a 4. And I'll check your work on Wednesday. I better see visuals to prove this.
Open book test. All right. Next one. We just delayed it by 1. The next one is Luiz Araujo.
I have mine written down.
Me too.
All right, see. What you got?
Super sub 8.
I like it.
8.
I give him a 7.1.
Okay.
With a star around it.
I'm at 7.
Okay.
Luiz has been a target of criticism. I mean, I'm right there, that crowd, but came on and did very well. Had a really strong, provided a really strong ball that led to Atlanta scoring chance that ultimately didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. But yeah, looked very strong in the time that he came in. Obviously, not the ideal situation to have your, I guess, $4.5 million player coming off the bench, but he had a knock, he had a adductor issue. Hopefully, it's not serious, but it was an issue nonetheless. And Pineda opted to start, or opted to bring him off the bench instead of starting him as a precaution. And they look like there were any ill effects, honestly. So, yeah, good on Luiz to come out there and try to affect the match as best he could. And even though it doesn't result in a goal at the end of the day, I feel like he inserted himself pretty good against Miami.
Yeah, so I'll give y'all some quick stats real quick. Played 26 minutes. He made 20 accurate passes, 19 out of 20 accurate passes. So he played 26 minutes and created 5 chances. That's a big deal. That's a credit where it's due. That's a big deal. He came on, and we could have an entire, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on Wednesday on the live show, but this man played on the left-hand side for most of the 26 minutes he was on, and he looked like a completely different player. And he was whipping balls in left and right. And again, Giakoumakis, he puts one of those away, I think. So I actually think, and it's so frustrating because it's just like you live and you learn, and you can't get lucky. But I think had Araujo and Almada been on the pitch for another 10 minutes, they would have connected in a much better way. It wasn't perfect. There was some times where it was still like you're screaming at the TV like, hey, get rid of the ball, like move it quicker, whatever. But I think he was much better in this match. And I think, I don't want to relegate a DP to as a super sub, but if he can come in and do that for 90 minutes or 70 minutes at a time, then you're looking at a completely different player. And I was happy with what I saw out of him. He had 3 accurate long balls. He had a recovery. He was fouled once. He won one of his 2 ground duels. I mean, like, the stats are whatever, but they're good, right? So going in the right direction. If he can now click and come good, then maybe that's just that extra little bit that Atlanta needs.
I had to laugh real quick because Tyler talking about his recovery. I had to laugh about Taylor was talking about you're not paying $4.5 million for recovery.
Yeah.
Well, I see his point.
He did something well last night. So.
Yeah. No, exactly.
That's what he was before Atlanta United. Wasn't he like the sub of the year or something like that? Like, wasn't he?
He was the definition of a super sub for sure.
Yeah, and that's what he came in, and people thought, okay, well, he just needs an opportunity to start, and they worked for a few games, and it hasn't since. But you got to give him a good number. I mean, I'm embarrassed how low of a number you two gave him. I never want to hear about my 4 in Chol again. This guy deserves the 8, right?
It all made up in the overall numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a small performance. So, I mean, you got to judge him on what he did. And that was probably one of his best performances, at least what he looked like in that short time.
Well, here's hoping he can do it again next week and do it for longer and get something out of it. But FOTMob gave him an even 7.
A 7, huh?
Even 7.
Okay.
So, Tommy, you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this next one.
Yeah, me too.
Just waiting for it.
Me too.
I felt like I went back into a time machine yesterday, and we went back to January. Every single hot take of Josef Martinez was back. Josef didn't start his last game. Pineda should have started him on that last game. Oh, we're back to this. Oh, Josef shouldn't celebrate if he scores on us. Oh, he should. Oh my gosh. We were seriously
2 more times we have to play them this year. 2 more times.
Oh man, it's just the same takes. Boca out. Oh, this is all Pineda's fault. I was so glad I wasn't on Twitter much last night. But when I looked this morning, I was like, oh, it's like that the meme when like they open the door and they see the fire and they just walk right back out. That was me. I was like, I'm not engaging. Not today.
Yeah.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. All right, we gotta rip it off. Y'all ready?
Yes.
I mean, that was good. I mean, I want to give him a 10.
7.
But it's because of
Wow.
7. No, it's just 7 because of Joseph. There's really no real number behind it. He had a great game. That's what it is. But good for him.
Yeah.
Like good. I'm happy that he came in. The penalty was what it was, but then the other goal was something nice. Like that was an old school nice Joseph last minute desperation, get in the net. It worked great. Celebrated. It is. I don't know. It's depressing. I wore a Joseph shirt. My wife was screaming at me across the room. She got an alert. We're at this party, and like my other friends are Atlanta United fans. Like their phones go off, and I'm on the other side, and my watch says Joseph scores, and my wife was probably like an entire bottle of margarita in, and you just hear her screaming, "Why did you wear that shirt tonight? Why did you wear it?" And
all your fault.
It was my fault. So I will hit
Hashtag blame Tommy.
Yep, blame me.
Blame Tommy.
I said 8.5. Basically for the reasons that Tommy said. I'm not giving him a 10. A, because he doesn't play for Atlanta United, and B, because I'm reserving 10 for like a all worthy performance, like a hat trick or something like that, or 4-goal performance. So 10 is perfection. Joseph wasn't perfect, but he was great in the time that he was out there, so 8.5.
I like it. I gave him 100 because he hit 100 goals finally. And he did it while completely involved in some way or another with Atlanta United. So they'll never take that away from Atlanta United. But yeah, I think it was meant to be. If there was anything that was ever meant to be, it was this. He came out on a corner, which shouldn't have been a corner in the first place, but that's an entirely different conversation. It shouldn't have been a corner. And then you give up the penalty. And he has to take it, right? Like, there's no other option there. I would have been pissed if anybody but Joseph took that penalty. And I was sitting there thinking, the one kink in this story is Quentin Westberg, because he has been the kryptonite for Josef Martinez. And he did everything. He guessed it right. He had him dead to rights. He just couldn't quite get a fingertip on it. And, so you let Joseph's first touch against you as an Inter Miami player be a goal. It is what it is. And then that second goal, like you said, Tommy, that's just classic Joseph. That's just what he does. He finds a way to put it in the back of the net. I mean, what else can you say? That's why Miami has him now. That's why they went out of the way to go get him. So happy for him. I'm happy for Joseph. Not happy about the way this one went down, but I'm happy for Joseph for sure. I want nothing but the best, and now I hope it's all out of his system and he never scores against Atlanta again.
So that's my question to both of you now. So does Josef Martinez score a goal before we play them again in Leagues Cup?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I think so.
Still a lot of time left before Leagues Cup, so I would say indeed. I mean, he's not going to win like the Golden Boot or anything like that, but I believe he puts in a few goals here and there.
Yeah, I think he could hit 3 or 4 by the time Leagues Cup rolls around.
I say no.
Really?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think that he woke up. He woke up and he was ready to go and wanted to play his old team, and his energy bar is now lowered until he plays us again.
Depleted it all completely. That was the special move.
I'm sure we'll get into it Wednesday real quick, but you talk about Westberg. There was a little controversy today on the Instagram where Diop posted a Instagram video, something about distribution. I don't have my phone on me, but I was amazed Amazed when I saw Westberg was actually playing this game. Completely shocked. And it's not I know I said that Diop should have been playing before Westberg, but this guy has held you in games since the Chicago game where he had to make at least one big save in that game. Memphis, it was all him. It was only him that really came to play. And he's been great. And I don't think there's been anything wrong with him at all. I think he's been top notch. And with Pineda going with the hot hand, Mr. Hot Hand Pineda, because he likes to stick with the same lineups, on a consistent basis, how in the world do you change that? I'm with you, Diop. I'll make an Instagram video tonight too.
Do it.
I'm gonna find a cool outfit like he would wear, and I'll wear it.
Y'all need to get a wardrobe thing going on together. His wardrobe is pretty sweet, by the way.
It is.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, I do wonder, was it because of Westberg's past with Josef? That's the only thing I could think of, because you don't take the guy who has had he's literally bent over backwards and stood on his head for multiple games. You don't take him out for the guy who is coming off of a knee contusion. It just seems weird. Would like to ask him this week just his thought process behind it. I'm curious. I don't know if he'll say, but I don't think it's any kind of big secret. I just would like to know. I'd like to know the idea behind it, but it is definitely weird. And the Instagram thing was weirder. I wonder kind of what that was poking at, if anything.
We shall see.
It's weird. It's a weird situation, and it's that could definitely lead to drama if that's what we're thinking it's saying. And I think that's there. And I thought Diop's distribution has been great. I don't think he's been bad. I mean, we've had Brad Guzan for years, guys. We've seen kicking it out to row 30, just trying to clear it. So there's been nothing wrong with him at all. So I'm hoping this doesn't turn into anything big here. I thought maybe when I took the screenshot, I was hoping it wasn't going to get deleted. I just went back and checked. It's still there. So he has regretted nothing, if that's what it is. But stay tuned. We need some excitement.
And I do wonder, because the word was distribution, right? I want context, because if you look at Westberg's stats from last night, he was 100% accurate on every one of his passes, including the 2 long balls that he sent. So, I mean, that's not out of the realm of the ordinary for a goalkeeper, but I mean, 100% on passing, no matter who you are, is not easy to do. But you start throwing in long balls, and those are essentially 50-50s, right? And so the distribution, I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm curious where that was trying to go. So
May have something to talk about on Wednesday.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Bring it back to Josef, though. What is his FOTMOB score?
Yes, FOTMOB. I
forgot about that.
At 8.6.
Oh, by the way. 8.6. Okay.
8.6.
Yeah.
I think I was one under every single one.
You were,
it was 1 point something.
You were close.
I'm consistent.
You are consistent. Sometimes that beats.
Wait, what was Araujo again? I missed it. Did
7.
we say Araujo's number? 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's my boy now. Super sub.
There we go. Let's go. All right. We've ripped the Band-Aid off. It's over. I want to move forward so badly from this, and I just want Atlanta to win a game, maybe a couple in a row. That would be really nice. But they're back home this week. We are back at it again on Wednesday. If you guys don't know already, we're going to be doing a giveaway on Wednesday with Carmen and Diego. We're giving away a really cool King Peach inspired pin. So if you haven't already, go look on the Instagram and Twitter, Scarves and Spikes, or Twitter, Scarves in Spikes, and retweet the photo, retweet the tweet, or share to your stories on Instagram to get an extra entry into the giveaway that we will do live on Wednesday. And then also on Wednesday, be there and chat. Just jump in the comment section, dive into that conversation, because it's going to be busy. I guarantee it. But anybody that jumps into that chat before we do the giveaway gets an entry. Bonus entry. So it'll be fun. We'll be back Wednesday, 7 o'clock, and we'll be with Jason Longshore talking about the Charlotte match. So that's it. That's all we got going on right now. So we will see y'all Wednesday evening, and we do appreciate it, guys. It has been real.
See ya.
Adios.